Welcome. You're still tuned in to Salam Media. The time is 9:41. If you're still at home or you're looking to leave the house, I think stay a bit. Listen to Salam Media as we tackle a lot of issues globally and also right here at home. And one issue that I think you really, really need to listen to is one that we'll be tackling right now. I'm sure by now you know that there's this Freedom Flotilla. With aid, which is said to sail to Gaza. I supposed to, sail out today, but it hasn't. And this humanitarian aid flotilla was organized by a coalition of activists, which was scheduled, as I said, to sail from Turkey on Friday, which is today, excuse me, to deliver supplies to Gaza, and that has been postponed. Known as the Freedom Flotilla, its departure has been delayed due to an administrative roadblock initiated by Israel, which sought additional inspections. This is a statement by the coalition themselves, the organizers of the Freedom Flotilla. And joining us right now is going to be the coordinator for the Freedom Flotilla. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition in South Africa. Is also an activist and veteran leader at Palestine Solidarity Alliance. Mr. Ismail Moola is joining us on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Ismail. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to Salam Media.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah for having me. We are aware that, the plight of the Palestinians is close to the hearts of people here. So once again, Jazakallah for the opportunity.
I mean, Israelis underhanded tactics to delay, the Freedom Flotilla from setting sail. I'm sure this is something that you might have expected. I think that's something all of us, expected to happen. But your reaction and what's currently happening? Paint a picture for us. What is the Israeli government saying, essentially, about the flotilla?
Yeah, so, the reality is that this flotilla was already supposed to have been in the water almost 10 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been going through delays upon delays, whether it was technical delays, whether it was quality admin delays. But we expect these things. And that is why, when we take our delegates on the boat, we mention to them that, you got to allow yourself a period of 3 weeks. Because this is what, from our previous experience, we've understood that these matters do rise and there are delays upon delays upon delays. So the current delay is regard to the flagging of the ship. Now, a lot of ships that are owned use different countries' flags, and normally it's called flags of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, for argument's sake, we may be a South African company and we may be owning a ship in South Africa, but due to the stringent requirements that the South African government will want us to register the ship, it will be cheaper for us to register it in another country.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very common. In fact, almost 60 to 70% of all ships, international ships, are registered in their original countries, if you're understanding what I'm saying. So the current ship that we have at the moment, that is registered in Guinea-Bissau. And we have completed all the processes in terms of the legal processes. And the finality of all of that was done a long time ago. So there's no issues there in terms of admin requirements that were not fulfilled. However, what the Zionist regime has brought to the attention of Guinea-Bissau is that if there is any untoward activity that takes place on the water, then Guinea-Bissau becomes the country that is responsible. So let me just give you a background of what happened in 2010 in regard to the Mavi Mamra. So you know that the Mavi Mamra was a Turkish ship, but it was registered in the Comores. And you are aware that 10 nationals died when the Zionists intercepted that ship. So it became the responsibility now of Comores to take action on an international platform. And the Comoros then at that time took the captain and the members of the IDF to the ICC, the International Criminal Court. Remember, the International Criminal Court works against individuals. The ICJ, the International Court of Justice, that works with countries. So in 2010, the Comoros then took action against the authorities in the International Criminal Court. The prosecutor at that time, Ben Soda, felt that there was no case, and there were numerous appeals upon appeals, and finally there was some grounds that she had to investigate what took place. And when she finally passed a judgment, she says that because only 10 people died, it doesn't fall into the ambit of the ICC. The ICC is an institution that protects people's rights on a mass scale. And because that did not happen, she felt that it was not within the jurisdiction of the ICC, which is a poor argument, but that is how the law stands. So there is implications here for Guinea-Bissau in terms of what happens in the water. So what has happened now is that Israel has, and not only Israel, but all the supporters of Israel governments are now putting extreme pressure on Guinea-Bissau not to take this risk and rather just withdraw her flag. So this was a last-minute throw of the dice that Israel threw at us, and of course we are working with it. And we will try. We haven't had any response yet from the government of Guinea-Bissau to say that they are withdrawing their flag. We haven't had that yet. We are waiting for that confirmation. If it arrives, if they allow us to use the flag, we are ready to sail. If they withdraw the flag, then we are also making alternate arrangements to get a flag of another country. And according to our people, sorry.
Yes, I would like to touch a bit on that. We know that in a bigger context of things, Guinea-Bissau is a relatively smaller country, and it might succumb to some of the pressures coming from the United States of America and Israel, of course, largely because they might say there might be sanctions against you. We're funding certain humanitarian aid, whatever, but from their perspective, from what the last discussions you've had with the Guinea-Bissau authorities, what was the discussion? What was discussed on the round table? And I'm pretty sure they knew at some point that this kind of underhanded tactic, as you guys eloquently put it, was a possibility.
Remember, these kind of discussions take place at ministerial level, at government levels.
Mm-hmm.
So what would happen is that if there is no flag, let's say for argument's sake, Guinea-Bissau withdraws the flag, that means we have got no authority to leave the port because we have got a ship that is not registered. So what happens here in this case is that we are getting the information via the Turkish port authorities. So if we get the information from Turkish port authorities to say that the flag of this ship has been withdrawn, we then have to then reapply to the Turkish authorities to say, fine, thank you very much, we are now flying under a different country. So it's not a discussion that takes... Remember, we as the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, we are NGOs. So we don't have any ministerial contact. We rely on our governments, we rely on our politicians, we rely on our sympathizers to put pressure on the powers that be to do the right thing. But we don't have direct access because we are NGOs.
And, just just how much of this was a setback? I know the flotilla was supposed to leave today. Just how much of a setback in a greater scheme of things? Because I'm sure with the mission as big as this, there's obviously a whole lot of planning that goes into it. You might have a schedule of when you want to arrive in Gaza, and something like this happens. Just how much of it was an inconvenience? And also, you spoke that eventually, if Guinea-Bissau does decide that they're succumbing to the pressure, and they can't endorse the flotilla anymore and can't give you their flag. Is there any recourse measures in place? Are there any other countries that might be willing to take on the flotilla and own it and make it theirs and make sure that you guys sail with their flag?
Absolutely, that is going on at the moment. We are already, our team is already working on that. Because we don't want to wait for the last minute if Guinea-Bissau declines. So ever since we received the notification that there is some issues about the flag and the possible withdrawal from Guinea-Bissau, our team is already working on reflagging. But obviously, for security reasons, we're not going to disclose that. In terms of our planning, of course, this is very disruptive. But more importantly, it is disruptive for the participants because they are there now for almost 2 weeks. And remember, they are there at their own costs. So they were planning to be in Turkey maybe for 2 or 3 nights. They are paying accommodation, hotel accommodation, all of these things for 2 or 3 nights because there's no cost for them when they are on the ship itself. Whatever food and accommodation and everything is provided on the ship, that is paid for by the FCC. But prior to that, they are responsible. Now, some of our members, some of our participants, sadly, couldn't wait, and some of it because of financial restraints. So, they've gone back home. So this is where the challenge becomes. And also, it becomes frustrating for people because, you get hyped up, you get pumped up, you are energized, and then you are deflated. And then you after 2 or 3 days, anything happens, and you're deflated. So it's more important for us just to keep the momentum moving, and that is the challenge that we are having at the moment. We have almost 1,000 people that are ready to sail, and out of that 1,000 people, 300 are from international countries. So there's a huge representation on this flotilla in terms of international representative, where there are 300 participants. Also, understand that normally, majority of our flotilla attempts have very small ships. So most of the time, we have between 30 and 50 people. This is the first time where, because of the events of October 7th, we were overwhelmed with participants from all over the world, and we managed to restrict, I would say restrict, because we had over 10,000 applications to join us on this flotilla attempt, restricted to 1,000 people, because that is what the maximum passengers our boats could carry.
Ismail, yes.
Yes.
This discussion has sparked a lot of interest, particularly here in South Africa. I'm sure just how passionate South Africans are, with regards to Palestine, and we've been following this story quite closely. We have a voice note coming from one of our listeners who would like to ask a question, and we're going to play it for you, and then you can answer afterwards.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Freedom Flotilla is ready to set sail, and we're prepared to board our vessels tomorrow, Friday, April 26th. But earlier today, we learned that Israel has used another underhanded tactic to delay our departure. This time, they requested the government, the Republic of Guinea-Bissau, to withdraw its flag from our lead ship. Our lead ship is sailing under the flag of Guinea-Bissau. This has now triggered an inspection mind you, our ships have already been inspected and have passed all inspections, but now we require an inspection by the Republic of Guinea-Bissau. They sent an inspector from outside the country, and we are not sure how long this process is going to take, but we do know we will not be able to leave as we had planned. We are holding tight. This is not the first time that Israel has tried these underhanded tactics. We have overcome them before, and we are hopeful. We are working diligently to overcome them again. This doesn't mean that this will be the last thing that Israel tries to do, because we know that it is trying to prevent us from sailing, prevent us from getting to Gaza, because what they are doing is completely isolating the people of Gaza. And that is part of a deliberate strategy to deplete morale as people are being bombed and starved to death. We were able to speak to some people, journalists, families who came out of Gaza, and one of the things that they have stressed is how much the people are isolated and how much the people need something like this flotilla now. So while we are carrying desperately needed humanitarian aid, breaking the siege is so incredibly important. And no matter the delays that Israel puts before us, we will not stop trying to break this siege and reach the people of Gaza.
That was actually a comment more than a question. Is from one of the participants of the flotilla. Actually, it's a pro-Palestine activist and a Freedom Flotilla organizer, also Hawada Araf. Ismail, she touches on the fact that the Israeli government is going to be basically searching the flotilla, and how's that going to look like, when they send that person who's going to come, or whatever organization is really to come and basically tear the ship upside down and looking for what we don't know. Do you guys have an idea of what exactly is going to happen after this?
No, well, the critical thing here is, at the end of the day, is that we are prepared for a negative response from that inspection. It's going to be very. We'll be jumping for joy if Guinea-Bissau say fine, safe. But we are more looking at it from the point of view that be prepared for a negative response. The challenge that the Zionists are having is, remember, there is a siege and has been a siege in Gaza for over 17 years. And the siege is locked tight. So it's very difficult to get things in and out of Gaza. And the Zionists have now realized that all their efforts were of no use because of what happened in October 7th and the attack. So it demonstrated to them that even though they have the siege, our people are resourceful. And those resources are allowing them to fight back. And they are assuming that people like us, who come from more of a humanitarian background, individual people from normal society, who just care about people's lives and care about people having the right to freedom, people to have the right to access to food, people have the right to. People like us pose a threat to them, and suspect that we will then, within our aid, bring in inverted commas, Israeli designated contraband, if you understand what I'm saying.
And historically, because this is definitely not the first flotilla. You had a few others before this one. Is this their modus operandi? If you can give us examples of what happened in the previous flotillas. What kind of tactics did they use?
This is almost our 40th attempt. So we have a lot of historical, practical knowledge in terms of what happens. And generally what happens is that we leave from port. It takes us now from Turkey, it's a direct line, so you're not going to any port. From Istanbul, you'll go straight to the Mediterranean Sea, on the Mediterranean Sea, and you're going to get to Gaza. And generally, when we come to about 20 or 30 nautical miles from the Gaza coast, 20 to 30, this is in international waters. The first sign that our participants on the boat will have is they will lose all connectivity. And that would give them their first heads up that something happening, an interception is taking place.
Wait. When you say connectivity, sorry to cut you off there, you mean there's absolutely no way you guys would be able to communicate with them. They're shut off. Internet is not working, cell phones are not working. They're basically alone at sea.
Absolutely. And that for us as supporters on the ground becomes a very, very stressful period because we have no information what happens in the water from that moment. So we are in contact all the time as part of the process. Every minute they have to give us a report to say we are okay, we are well, we are here, we are there, we are there. Suddenly we will not get the reports. And that will then trigger a reaction from us to say that, okay, an interception is imminent. So when that happens, the Zionist occupation force will then ask us to abort our mission, which we refuse. They will then ask us to follow them to Ashdod, which is a port in Tel Aviv, which we will refuse. They will then come and board the boat, take over the boat, take over the captaincy of the boat, and then arrest all the passengers on the boat, and they will go to a prison in Tel Aviv, maybe spend 3 or 4 or 5 nights in the prison, and then be deported to their countries. That has been the norm. The difference of this was the Mamra, where sadly it was the first and the only time so far that we've lost participants. So when part of this process is non-violence training, remember we are ordinary people, ordinary citizens. We don't come from any security background. We don't have any army background, nothing. So when we are confronted with the Zionist forces, we are taught to subdue. We give in. And the reason we do this is because we are not in a militant kind of environment. We are in a non-violent environment, and even the activity that we're taking part is a pacifist attitude. We're going there to break the siege. We are going there to provide much needed food for our people in Gaza. So non-violence training is very important to all our passengers. And we just subdue ourselves because at the end of the day, we don't want to risk anybody getting injured, and Allah forbid, we don't want anybody to lose their lives. But the mission in itself, it's brave. You have to be brave. I mean, we have Muniba Bayat, that's our representative on the ship. And, I'm very proud of her because she's understanding the risk, and she's prepared to take the risk, just like how the other 1,000 passengers are. They are passionate about what they are doing. Alhamdulillah.
I mean, and looking at you spoke about previous instances when they would use these tactics, basically trying to make sure that this mission is aborted. Times seem to be different right now since the 7th of October, and now it almost feels like they are a bit more relentless. They are not scared to kill people anymore. They just act with impunity. So isn't it that there's a bit of fear and concern, from the members of the flotilla, people that will be participating, that, the state of Israel and its occupying force right now are just acting with impunity, and they might, I don't know, do whatever, in making sure that this flotilla doesn't reach its destination, and sending a strong message to whoever who's supporting, Palestine.
Absolutely, absolutely. Remember, we were doing these flotillas when it was more in peacetime, in inverted commas, because there's no peace for Palestinians, there's no peace for people in Gaza, there's no peace, but in inverted commas, in peacetimes. Now we are involved in a activity that's taking place in a time of war. So obviously the risks are much more higher. And in our own personal experience, we had almost 20 people. We had almost 20 people that were supposed to join us on this mission. And then after the incident of the team of the World Central Kitchen, where they lost their lives, so they cancelled, because suddenly they understood the risk and the magnitude of what we're trying to achieve. So the threat is there, and the threat now, as you correctly allude to, is higher than what it was before. But at the end of the day, we can never ever give in. We can never ever, because that is what the Zionists want us to be. They want us to be afraid, and that fear, they want you to paralyze your activities. So we get our strength from the Palestinians, and they are resistant. And how is it that they get up every morning and go through this brutality, face all the dehumanizing activities day by day? And yet when you look at them, they are proud. And they accept that they have these challenges, and they know that inshallah they will one day be free.
And just lastly, before I let you go, I'm sure there's a lot that you guys need to be working on right now. For our listeners that are at home, what's the latest that you can tell them? So many are so invested in this, and I'm sure a lot would want to get involved in the next coming years. As the flotilla continues, where are we right now when it comes to the flotilla? What discussions are happening? Are we going to be setting sail anytime soon? Just to wrap it all up, for our audience to know and follow the progress of the Freedom Flotilla until inshallah it makes its way to Gaza. Where are we? What's the latest?
Yes. So again, Salam Media is also tagging us as an FFC. So your listeners will be aware that we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on all these accounts. You can go to the Freedom Flotilla Coalition website, which is updated all the time. But also, we have the virtual boat to Gaza. So people can go onto this website, www.boat2gaza, and they can register there to become virtual passengers, to show their support for all these people that are physically in the water to break the siege on Gaza. Secondly, it is important for us to keep the story of Palestine alive, not in regard to the flotilla, but the horrific activities that are taking place in the West Bank and even in Gaza. Let's not concentrate only on Gaza, because our brothers and sisters in West Bank, as you may be aware, are going through a horrific time. And we need to be able to keep their stories and their plight alive in all the times, because that is how social media works.
Ismail, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm there. I'm here.
Yes. And just lastly, so right now, the boats are still docked in Istanbul. What can we, look forward to in the next coming days? What discussions are you having, or are you just waiting for that inspection from the Israeli, party, or whoever will be coming from their side?
Well, we are hoping that within the next 12 hours, we'll get a yes or no from Guinea-Bissau. But we are also working to get the ship reflagged. So we are hoping that this will maximally cause a delay of 24 to 48 hours. So once we've got it reflagged, we've got to again go to the authorities to get to clear the admin part of it, and that would take another 24 hours or so. So we are hopeful that maybe if everything goes according to the way we plan, maybe on Monday we should be able to save.
All right.
But that doesn't mean that another challenge does not happen. You know, in our previous one of our previous attempts, where our boat was docked, the night before we were supposed to leave, oil was found near the boat. So the port authorities came in the morning and they say, you know what, hello, this boat is leaking. So we can't let you sail. We need to check this boat. So these are tactics that we used to. You know what I'm saying to you? So maybe we've overcome the flag. Maybe we've overcome other challenges, but we don't know what's next waiting for us. So we are used to this, and I'm happy to say that, you know, alhamdulillah, our participants also, they are understanding the nature and the challenges that we feel. Remember, you are going against an entity that has huge international support. And even if you look at our situation in terms of the ICJ, I mean, how many countries, Muslim countries I'm talking about, are supporting us there?
A lot.
No one.
Yeah.
No one. Yet, you know, they got power, yet they got strength, yet they got money, yet they got resources.
And they're so close.
Yes, and they're so close. So it shows you the tentacles, how far they extend, and how a small country like Israel is controlling world affairs. It's shocking. And of course, we talk about the paralysis. You were talking earlier about the paralysis of the United Nations. That is critical. But I think from my point of view, I think this is creating a new avenue. And when we're talking about a multipolar world, I think what you're going to find is you're going to find the European nations on one side of the equation, and you're going to find the rest of us on another side of the equation. And that's going to create a more better balance. I know we deviated from the subject, but just...
No, definitely making some really, really good points there. But I think we're going to leave it here. I'm sure we'll be getting an update from you guys as this progresses. From our side here on Salam Media, you know, we're going to try and spread the message as far and wide as we can. And we hope that, you know, you guys don't lose that gusto. You don't lose, you know, the motivation, because this is much, much needed work that needs to be done to make sure that the people of Gaza do receive, you know, the assistance that they deserve now more than ever. But we're going to leave it here. Ismail, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll catch up if there are any updates that you guys need to share with you know, the South African public, the, you know, the world, you know, essentially people that are concerned about Palestine, who are very, very now invested into the story, and I'm sure would be very, very, very pleased to see that flotilla setting sail and making its way to Gaza. But for now, we're going to leave it here. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Jazakallah. And once again, Jazakallah for having us on air and giving us the opportunity to articulate what is happening in these lands that are so close to all of us, inshallah. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. And I mean, thank you so much. Very, very, very hectic, underhanded tactics from, you know, Israel trying to delay that Freedom Flotilla from setting sail and making its way to Gaza. We took a lot of time, but we're going to unpack that, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get a, you know, an update because we need to see that flotilla sail. And hopefully, as Ismail alluded to there, that hopefully we pray, and I hope you'll be praying also, and, you know, sharing those messages on social media. The hashtag is let them sail, hashtag let them sail, to make sure that, you know, the message reaches far and wide, and that Freedom Flotilla does make its way to Gaza. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be taking the news with Zaid Jadwat. What you need to know, when you need to know, and how you need to know it here on Salam Media.